So in this next portion, we're going to talk about the leading and non-leading questions. And to help us do that, we're going to look at a picture from the book Oroville, A Dog's Story. Okay. Don't you think we should be afraid of this dog? Okay, so let's pretend we're a group of third graders again. And how would you feel if I, a teacher or a site coordinator, just asked you that question?
Everyone's going to say yes.
Everyone's going to say yes, right? It is a leading question. Don't you think we should be afraid of this dog? Okay? So it's a leading question. But how are you feeling being asked that? Don't you think we should be afraid of this dog?
I just feel like, well, since if I was in your class, I really love dogs. I probably was a dog in my past life. So I would think you're like, I was thinking like maybe you didn't like animals or something like that.
Okay. So you'd be trying to figure out what it is I'm talking about. You'd be like, wait, whoa, why are you saying I should be afraid of this dog? Okay, so there'd be some distance and some defensiveness that you'd be having and going through as a child. Okay, others. What would you be going through if you were just asked, don't you think we should be afraid of this dog? Yes. Like maybe there's a right or a wrong answer, like it's a closed question, right? So what does the teacher want me to say? What should I be looking to say? Because kids are pleasers, right? Once they find out what you want to hear, like those true animal lovers, like that they'll show you like the pictures of all of their fur babies and they, they just, they beam animal pride. The kids know what you want to hear. And it'll be a hurdle for you to set up a stage for them to say things like, I don't like animals. And that is okay. And you need to let them know it is okay for you to feel that way. Tell me more about that. Tell me more. Why? What's going on? So they have an opportunity to share thoughts, feelings, and experiences in a neutral and non-judgmental. Otherwise, you're not going to get what they truly think. They're just going to be parroting to you what they think you want to hear. Okay. Another question. Why is it bad to chain a dog? How are you feeling when you're asked that question? That it is bad. Okay, so now, regardless of what you actually thought the answer was for yourself, you're like, oh, okay, so now it is bad. Okay. Is it good or bad to chain a dog? How are you feeling when I ask that question? Yes.
I don't like it at all.
Why don't you like it at all?
I think that every animal should have space to move around, whether it's a dog, a cat, a chicken,
Okay.
a pig, a cow. Being confined in a small space would not be a happy place.
Okay, so you have your own opinion about the way the world works, and for someone telling you the way it should be feels a little wrong, right? Off-putting. Okay, leading questions often feel off-putting, whether or not it registers to you that they are or not. Okay. What about, is it good or bad to chain up dogs? Well, she provided a choice. How are you feeling when I ask you that? Is it good or bad to chain up a dog? Yes.
Well, on that, then I started thinking about, well, it depends. What if the dog is a bad dog? And if he needs to be chained up for someone's safety. But it's bad because, the dog needs his freedom and he wants to be free, just like we can do things, they can do things as well.
Okay. All right. So you'd start going into the dog's perspective and like, oh my gosh, why does he need to be on a chain and is it good or bad? So in that case, it actually got you thinking about the choices, but you're also trying to figure out what the instructor or the reader wants to hear when they're asking. Okay? And also pay attention to when we use judgmental words like bad dog or good story or this is a sad part. All of those are judgmental terms that you've assigned a judgment or a value to what you think is going on without letting the students come to what they think is going on. Let the students come to their own conclusions. Okay, that's the way we're going to help them learn how to think, not what to think. Yes?
So I kind of do this as my reading now, and I think it'd be good for the chain dog thing. A lot of times I have them close their eyes and imagine themselves as a character. Let's say as you're a chain dog, and then relate to me what you feel, and it kind of opens a discussion for like, well, I feel like let's say I feel happy or I feel sad or angry, and why, and then they actually have like this really interactive discussion while they're imagining that they're the dog, why they would feel that way, and it really like gets everybody going into why they would feel a certain way or why not. and I think it's pretty useful.
Okay, so using an open, non-leading question, such as the one you just used, and how do you think Orville feels in this picture, would say start a conversation like that. Okay, but the question you used to start your discussion was open and non-leading. Does everyone see the difference? So when you shut down thinking, you're often asking a leading question. You're saying there's a right or wrong answer, or there's a black and white. It's closed in nature. And you're not inviting thought, not asking for others' opinions as much as you are asking the students to kind of figure out what you want to hear. Truth of it. And just be aware of the way you are talking to kids and talking to others. If you're all about just getting your message out as indoctrinating and as telling you what I think think you should know, and that is your approach, it may or may not be working for you, examine it. If your approach and your goal for teaching is to help kids think critically and to try to make decisions for themselves and figure out what they feel and think, then examine the way you're asking. Non-leading neutral questions are going to help them figure out what they think, because you're not going to be telling them, not in your posture, not in your intonation, and not in your question. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. What questions do you have about non-leading or leading questions? Yes. When should you ask them? So the general rule is 2 to 4 questions in the beginning, 2 to 4 questions in the middle, 2 to 4 questions in the end, and 2 to 4 questions in the activity. Thank you for letting me repeat that. There are suggestions throughout the curriculum guide of exactly what page. So it'll say, turn to the page where Orville is on a chain. Ask, what do you think Orville might be feeling in this picture? So it's very scripted. And in the first reading, you saw me using sticky notes to mark those pages where I'd be asking questions. And then the kids say, what's a sticky note for, Miss Carly? I just say, that's to help me remember to ask you a question right there. And when you're preparing for your reading, the day before, the morning of, put those sticky notes where you intend to ask per the guide, and then just read through, and it's just as designed. But we could not prepare you and put all of the questions you'd ever want to ask. So they're question starters and they're conversation starters. And then you would follow them up with, tell me more about that. Why? Why is that the case? What does everybody else think? And those are the ways to extend the conversation. So to clarify, even though we're asking 2 to 4 questions in the beginning, middle, and end, it sounds like a greater discussion because you've added on those extra ways to extend the conversation and ways to extend the thought about what you're talking about, okay? Okay. What questions do you have about above ground questions, below ground questions, leading questions, and non-leading questions? Okay, that was actually 9 seconds. So I was able to wait the 8, but wait the 9 really. And I've gotten you used to that strategy that I use, so you know that you have time to think about it, but that if you don't, by the 8. And I use so much of what I do with my adult education trainings as when I'm with the students in classroom management. And kids are super smart, right? They pick up from you those clues. You can even establish your norms really, you know, when you ask a question, please raise your hand. When I ask a question, I'll wait 8 seconds for you to answer because I want to give you time for processing. That's fine. Set up your classroom culture with respect. Let them know what's expected, but they'll also clue in. And it's that part that we don't want to give them too much of what we think. We want to let them know we're there for them. We want to hear their stories, their thoughts, their feelings, their experiences. Okay? It's not up to us to tell. It's up for us to show and ask.